Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula. And this movie came out in 1992, and it's directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins, and I enjoyed this movie. I was kind of hesitant because Francis Ford Coppola doesn't exactly have a consistent track record. I heard Megalopolis was terrible and you should not watch it, but I do love The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, as well as The Conversation. And Godfather Part 3 was when he was like getting kind of bad. That's the only one I've seen from him that I don't like. But this one I enjoyed. It's definitely not one of my favorites for sure, but I could watch this movie again at some point. Like, it's not like a painful experience for the most part. The movie is 2 hours long, and for the most part, I wasn't bored, but there was a section kind of in the middle where I was like, this is kind of dragging, because at first it was really fast paced. I couldn't help but think of Nosferatu, because Nosferatu is basically this, but done a bit differently, and originally it was like considered to be a ripoff, and all of the original prints of the original 1922 film had to be burned and destroyed, but some prints survived. And it became like a classic that it is now, and there's a whole big story behind that, but I couldn't help but think about Nosferatu while watching this movie and how the structure of those movies were compared to this. And for a while, this was going a lot faster than I was anticipating as far as the story is concerned. But once the character Dracula meets Winona Ryder's character, that's where the movie kind of came to a grinding halt. And for a while, it was going by really quickly for me. And then like 30 minutes would go by and it would feel like an hour, and I would pause in the middle of it, and I was like, oh my god, I still got an hour left of the movie to go. But once Anthony Hopkins came on screen, that's when the movie started to get a lot better for me, and I was with it a lot more. That's really where my criticisms lie. It's just somewhere in the first act and the last hour of the movie, somewhere in between that is where it kind of dragged for me, and that's really my biggest criticism with this movie, is that I was definitely bored for like 30 minutes of it. And going to my positives, I know I kind of ranted on this movie a little bit, but I did like this movie. I think it's very well shot. It looks pretty nice consistently, and I love the usage of shadows in the opening scene. I thought that was super effective and cool. And I enjoyed the music in this movie. I thought it added to the film. It wasn't like incredible. It wouldn't be like the next thing I would listen to, but I didn't feel as though it dragged the movie down. It is kind of very much what you would expect, but not in a bad way, I feel. And the performances were mostly great. Gary Oldman did a great job in this movie, and Winona Ryder surprised me in this movie with what she was given to do and how well she pulled it off. And the only one who dragged it down for me was Keanu Reeves. He's not in the movie too much, but I just never bought him in this movie. I do think he looks the part, but unfortunately his acting just didn't convince me that he was playing a character, unfortunately. One thing that did surprise me in this movie that I genuinely loved was the interpretation of the character of Dracula in this movie. I liked the performance a lot by Gary Oldman, and that's also what helped it, and the different forms of the character I really enjoyed, and there's just a lot of directions this movie takes that I did like, not just conceptually, but also in execution. I did enjoy the practical effects and the sets. I did feel like I was in 1897. I never once felt as though it was taking place in modern day. But going back to my issues with this movie, I was never convinced by the CGI in this movie. It just never once felt like it was a part of the environment. And it was always distracting, and this movie is super cheesy. Like, holy crap. I was not expecting it to be this cheesy, but it kind of goes there, and I understand that this is kind of a product of its time, where cheesy movies were just everywhere in the 90s, and I guess to some extent that's just what people wanted, but it kind of made the film feel a bit dated because of that, with certain editing choices and There are honestly scenes in this movie that felt like they were cut a bit short, and there were some odd transitions, and they just repeated using the same transitions over and over again. And if it was done a bit more sparingly, I think I would appreciate them doing certain things a bit more. And I also wish that the movie had more subtlety to it, because everything in this movie is just so in your face, and I just wish there was more subtlety to it. Like could interpret certain things, but unfortunately, it's all just at face value, and anything that you could interpret from the film is just, you're not really digging all that deep, honestly. I also didn't really get a good sense of passage of time in this movie. Things just seemed to happen, and I never really got a good understanding of how much time has passed between each scene. Like, has a week passed, a few minutes, an hour, a month, a year possibly? I have no idea. And also, I wasn't really scared by anything in this movie, except for like a couple moments. But most of the movie, I just was like kind of interested to see where things were going. But as far as being a horror movie, it didn't really work that well for me. And that's about all I have to say about Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was a good movie. I liked it overall. It wasn't the most boring thing ever. There are things to like about it. But unfortunately, it was in a couple of ways a bit of a missed opportunity for me. And I just wished some things were better, and there was just more to chew on, more subtlety, and it was less cheesy. But aside from that, I enjoyed the movie overall, and I can come back to this at some point. So check this movie out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Bram Stoker's Dracula a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Spring Breakers. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.